So, good day, ladies and gentlemen. Kudos to Mr. Nnamdi Kolade, who is, I've met him now for a few years, and he has been quite a very, very interesting character. He's full of energy, full of drive, and I mean, it's not. I can't believe he's right there in Ibadan because it looks like he's somewhere else. All he's been able to do, and kudos to the people who are around him: Valentine, Onawale, Daniel, and everyone else who is on this. There's so
Thank you
many.
very much.
Okay, good. Thanks. Nice to hear from you. There's so many angles that you may want to use to approach entrepreneurship. The first thing I would say is that in Nigeria, entrepreneurship has always been there. You know, I grew up, and I'm sure you've grown up hearing, what does your father do? They'll say he's a businessman. She's a businesswoman. She's a trader. All of these are entrepreneurship in different names and words. You know, what does an entrepreneur do? An entrepreneur just basically identifies an opportunity and he or she marshals resources to solve a pain, solve a problem, and make a profit in the process. So you can call that the 3 Ps: pain, you know, the process, and profit. You know. So what do we want to look at today? Look at this. I hope everyone can see this screen. So with COVID, COVID is over a year now, and we're seeing all forms of innovation taking place all over the world. Look at this group. They call them Drive Me. And what did they do? They launched a driver hailing and driver training platform that allows Nigerians to hire drivers on demand. So with Uber, you got a car and driver on demand. With Drive Me, you get a driver that has been previously vetted who will come and drive you in your own vehicle. So, which means you don't need to pay your driver for 1 month. You could pay the driver for 2 or 3 days that you go out. Now, what I'm trying to point out here is not Drive Me itself, but look at the creativity and the innovation that these people put together. You know, some have done it for housemaids, you know, but they did this for driving. And look at that. So there are elements of innovative and creative people in the country, right? Let's look at these guys now. Jumia. You all know what Jumia does in Nigeria, e-commerce and all of that. But then Jumia now moved into food delivery. They were in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt, and then they started expanding into Ilorin, Ibadan. My dear brothers and sisters, how can we be waiting? Is it Jumia that should come and do this in Nigeria? Is this the face of a Nigerian entrepreneur?
No.
Did we need someone from outside to come and help deliver our Amola and Abula?
No.
Where are we? So it took someone from outside to realize that Abula that Niyi wants delivered to his office, he will do the delivery. And it's going to use our own Okada riders in our own country, our own food. And they will make the deal and do an IPO.
Wow.
So how did this happen? Where was the ball dropped? Was it the government of Nigeria? Was it the entrepreneurship landscape? Was it our educational institutions not providing people that could think creatively, that leaves a gap for people like me to try and fill? how many more innovative opportunities arise and abound all around us in Nigeria that we're yet to take advantage of? Look at Mr. Nii with the minimal income he has, and he has a family and he has responsibilities. Yet he just keeps trudging ahead. I remember a few months after I met him, I said, "Listen, do you want to participate at I think it was a Digital Africa conference in Abuja." I don't know if he walked to Abuja to come and meet the Minister of Communication at that time, but he was there to show his games, which he had at that time. How many more Colades do we have all over Nigeria? And some don't even have the opportunity to go as far as he's going. So what this innovation that we're looking at, specifically in Nigeria, elsewhere, but specifically in Nigeria, there are 4 elements that I want to pay attention to. Number 1 is collaboration, and we'll talk about that later.
Yes, sir.
When we talk about one of the letters in the acronym ELITE. Ideation, implementation, and value creation. So let's begin with ideation. Ideation comes from the root word idea. And so look at the idea that drive me pick and said it looks like there are people that they have a fleet of vehicles. They don't even want the driver around them because of COVID. They are probably only going out now maybe once a week. I think we can solve a problem if we vet the drivers and give them drivers on demand because they want to be driven in their own vehicle. That was an idea. And then they ran with that idea. And then I'm quite sure if we check back on them now, they must have pivoted because they would have found some new opportunities or challenges that came across. And so ideation thrives on inspiration. So you need to be inspired to have ideas. Take a look at Mr. Kolade. All he needs to do is look around and he gets inspired. Look at the kind of acronyms, the words he keeps bringing up. Look at the people around him, how he excites them. He raises up their energy level. That's very crucial. Now, when you go from your idea, you need to be able to implement. Of course, there are a lot of resources required to implement. You need infrastructure, you need funding, you need human resources, you need human capital, you need human talent, you need an enabling ecosystem, you need an enabling environment. So some of the times, some of the attributes or characteristics you need to implement may be beyond your control because you are not the one that will make, fix the road that will be used to deliver the goods. You're not the one that can say that internet should be more affordable and more reliable. But the ones that are within your control, especially regarding developing your solution, service, or idea, you want to spend a lot of time on it. And you want to make sure that in your implementation, you're creating value. You're creating value for yourself, and you're creating value for your customers, and you're creating value for your environment and all other stakeholders also. Value creation. You're creating value that allows your startup or your company, to grow, and impact society. We'll come back to collaboration in a few minutes, like I said. And so I wanted to tie those 4 elements I just spoke about to the each of the letters in ELITE, which we have as entrepreneurship, leadership, innovation, transformation, and energy. And I'm told I should spend a bit more time on energy. Now, before we jump to energy, which is the basis, which drives collaboration, by the way, that's why I'll bring it up later. We've spoken a little about entrepreneurship. Leadership is key. Everything rises and falls on leadership. You guys have a worthy leader in Mr. Kolade, and the prayer is that he will keep getting inspired and having a lot of more mentors to not only support him academically and encouragement, but even with funds. You know, I've given you some examples of innovation from what you heard about Drive Me, and then transformation also. Transformation begins from within you, within your entity, and that's key and crucial. But energy, you need energy for so many reasons, and I don't mean electricity. You need energy because you would come across so many challenges. You need energy to stay on the path, to believe in your vision, to be focused. You need energy to collaborate with your partners, with your stakeholders. When it looks like the die is cast and the hope is lost, you need to summon your energy, to stay on track, to accomplish what you desire to accomplish. Now, collaboration requires energy. You need energy to sustain the collaboration. You need energy to engage with your partners. And you need positive energy, by the way. So this is quite crucial. Energy is the key. Energy is to entrepreneurship what the internet is to IT. Energy is to entrepreneurship what electricity is to industrialization. You can do much. So let's talk a little bit about collaboration that thrives on this energy. We're beginning to see that okay, I'm just admitting additional participants. We're beginning to see that teamwork is critical and crucial, especially in the past year with the advent of COVID, the coronavirus. We're beginning to see that the challenges around the world are more complex, and it's becoming increasingly more important to bring more diverse minds to the table and to break down silos. Look at what we're doing today. I am over here in North America, you are in Nigeria, and we're connecting, and that's some aspect of collaboration. And so what do I want you to focus on when you look at collaboration, which thrives on this energy? I need you to listen and explore. Okay? Ask yourself and your stakeholders, what can we do together? And then after you do that, you need to learn and adjust. I'm sure Nii and Onowale, who've been doing the support for free university students for over 10 years, you've learned and you've adjusted, right? And you've been learning together, and then you need to focus and align. What should we do together? Nii has put a lot of people around him that he does so many things with them. He's identified who he wants to do entrepreneurship with. He's identified who he wants to do education support with. You should, figure out what you want to do together. And of course, you want to do this together with people that have the same energy level as you or a higher energy level than you so that they can lift you up, And then you need to link and leverage. What will you do together? Okay? What will you do together? And so I spoke a little bit about ideation. I want to spend a few more seconds on it. We're talking of fresh new ideas, which can help your organization or your entity or your company stand out. Look at the example I gave with Drive Me. They stand out immediately. That what are we doing? We're vetting drivers, making them available on demand to vehicle owners who want to be driven in their own vehicle. That's the differentiation. Uber, the driver comes with his own car. Sometimes you like the car, sometimes you don't like the car. But Drive Me figured out that there are people that did what? Wanted to be driven in their own car, and they didn't want to have to maintain a driver throughout the month or year. Look at the food delivery. I'm sure, I don't remember the name of the restaurant, there are 2 or 3 restaurants in Ibadan that I like their food. Whenever I'm in Nigeria, I want to eat their food. So Jumia figured out that I like food from a particular, I think there's Empire or they figured out that I like food from a particular restaurant, then I'll get it delivered. An idea that stands out. So, and here's the thing, local businesses, they seem to have much more influence on job creation than companies that are, coming from out of state. If that's the case, that means that there should be companies that will do food delivery business better than Jumia, right? Because our folks within the country or within Ibadan or within their locale should know better about what their customers will like and want. Okay? So there we go with ideation, like I keep saying. I need you to pay attention to that also. Okay, let's move on. Implementation, which I mentioned also among the 4 key areas I want to talk to you about today. Of what good is it that when you have ideas, you come across ideas, you have ideas, you write them down, and you don't put them to use? You don't find resources to make sure that you can put your ideas to bring them to market? Then it's of no use to have those ideas. Okay? Think of a neighborhood within Ibadan. Ibadan is a very large city. You think about, I'm sure the grocery store is like the local person that sells biscuits and cookies, So there are many things you can do, to ensure that you implement successfully. And we'll share this slide with you after this presentation. I want to emphasize that we can't say you've had an innovation if your new ideas are not creating value. So think about Drive Me. Drive Me is creating value, and same thing with Jumia. They are creating value. They are creating value for the owner of the restaurant, creating value for the person that will eat the food. They're also creating value for themselves in the money they make. And they're also creating value for the delivery guys. Can you see how that impacts? Can you see that ecosystem? You can identify 4 folks right away there. The person that makes the food, the person that delivers the food, the person that eats the food, and the person that brought all of them together on our platform. I think last week I was getting some fast food for my kids, and I noticed in the restaurant they had a separate line for the guys that were doing dash door delivery. And in the parking lot, I saw all of them. Their vehicles were very nice. And I looked and I said, so this is what these guys are doing. They make, Lord knows how many deliveries they're making in a day. Can you see? So people chose to be lazy and stay home and have pizza and even McDonald's delivered to them at home. What are we doing in Nigeria that we can't have moi moi delivered to someone at home? Or have the abula delivered to someone at home? Can't we do it better? Did we need a foreigner to come and tell us that there was an opportunity there? How many other things can we see around us there in Ibadan, in Nigeria, that we can build upon, that will bring value to everyone involved? And for me, when I look at entrepreneurship, innovation, I tend to have a bias for what I call innovation-driven entrepreneurship, technology-driven enterprises. If it doesn't have an element of technology, the innovation will not be having a large impact. So these are the kind of enterprises that I tend to support and encourage. Why? Because they have the potential for larger impact. Look at Facebook. Facebook came out of a dorm room in Harvard. Look at what it is today worldwide. Look at the iPhone. Came out from an idea from Steve Jobs. Look at what it has become today. Look at Google. Before Google, there were other search engines. There was Excite. There was Lycos. There was Prodigy, but no, these guys came around, changed the rule of the game, and remained dominant till today. So for us in Nigeria, the same way we've leapfrogged, the way mobile phones leapfrogged landlines, and almost everyone has a phone now, and you can see what it has done. The only way Nigeria can go from where it is now to where we want it to be, where it creates opportunities that are rewarding for our youths, is to embark and invest and embrace technology-driven enterprises. That's where you guys come in. You all know there are different types of innovation. I won't spend much time on that. You can look at the slides later on. But I want you to look at what we call disruptive innovation. And we're just saying that you take something that exists and do it in a different way that people will pay you for. I want to spend a few more minutes on talking about what do we mean by innovation and disruption? What do we mean by disruption and the incumbent? And I want to use vivid examples. About 20 years ago, in North America, and even in Nigeria, we had Blockbuster was a video club. And what you did then was that the videos were on VHS, the video cassettes. And you would go to Blockbuster, you would rent your videos, and then you would watch it, and you had to return it by the next Monday. Otherwise, they would charge you a late fee. Now, think of that. You had to go to the Blockbuster, get a membership, pay for it, pick out the movie, watch it, and return it. And then Netflix came. Netflix says, listen, we will mail the CD to you. Watch it for as long as you want. And we've also paid for you to mail it back to us. So I didn't need to drive to the state, and I didn't need to worry about returning it on time. Netflix did not start as a video streaming. No, they started by sending out CDs. And if they did that, it was a loss, but they were studying the viewing habits of Americans. They were studying how long they were keeping the DVDs for. And so by the time the internet allowed for broadband download, voila, they were ready.
Wow.
And that's how they became dominant today.
Wow.
Think of Amazon. When Amazon began, he was selling the books out of his truck. And he was doing it at a loss. But no, he was keeping track. He was keeping track. What did they like to read? When did they like to read it? Or what else can I sell in addition to these books I'm giving to them? I'll take a loss for now, but I know I'm going to make a profit soon. And so the incumbent Blockbuster did not pay attention to Netflix when they came on board. As a matter of fact, Netflix offered to sell themselves to Blockbuster. Blockbuster said, nah, don't worry, we're not even paying attention to it. The same way Kodak did not pay attention to the technology for the phone on the camera. They couldn't believe that people would take pictures on their phone and that it was good enough. So look at the way Netflix came and disrupted Blockbuster. Look at your phone today. Nokia was the standard. Nokia 5000, Nokia 2000. And then BlackBerry came and said, listen, this thing called email. People want to see their email. Oh. Okay, let me make it that they can at least read their email anytime they want to. Then Steve Jobs said, listen, I don't only want to read email. I want to listen to music and I want to take pictures. BlackBerry looked at iPhone and said, no, we don't think people will want to be listening to music on their phone or taking pictures. And before you knew what was happening, Nokia, BlackBerry were disrupted by the iPhone. And the iPhone remains dominant till today. Think about hard copy books. When Nii showed me his books just now, I said, listen, do you have the books in soft copy? Are you able to distribute them electronically? Why did I say that? Because even though the jury is out on the books, for me, there are some books I like to hold and read. For example, my Bible. I don't want to read it electronically. I want to hold it and read it. But there are
That's
some
right.
books that, within a few seconds you can download it and you can read it. So we can't fully say yet that hard copy books are being disrupted by electronic books. But like the
Yes.
Kindle, which almost every one of you would have, there's been some element of disruption there. Now, if you look at all the examples I've given you today, you can apply that and begin to see who are the incumbents in Nigeria that need to be disrupted that you guys can go on and take on. Okay? I
Yes,
don't
sir.
want to look into this definition of entrepreneurship, but I want you to look at IDE, which is for global markets. Why the few disruptive, I wouldn't even say disruptive, probably innovation platforms, especially in the financial sector, that Nigeria has produced. Paystack, which other one was recently acquired. And do you know that every one of the payment engines in Nigeria rides on NIBs? So if they are all riding on NIBs, what is the differentiation? What is the differentiation? If they are all riding on the same platform to move their funds and transactions, right? Okay, so you can have the slides later. You can look at that. I'm not sure what the innovation hub or innovation ecosystem in Ibadan is. I don't know if there's an innovation hub in Ibadan. There's one I'm working on in Ilorin. There's in Lagos. There's in Abuja, of course, I know. But the ecosystem needs to be developed by an innovation hub. Probably there's one out of the University of Ibadan. I think I gave a speech at the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation once. So there must be some kind of hub around there. They are supposed to do what? To develop the talent, enable funding, enable infrastructure from the government. Is it the flyover innovation, or is it making broadband available? There should be buy-in from the government, the governor, and the location of these hubs should be very, very strategic. And so what do I bring? What can we do? And this is not marketing. This is just what we could do for an hub, is to bring resources, relationships, partnerships, expertise, and exposure. And in any way that we can do that, we'll keep doing that for you. I'll take your comments now, because I'm sure there are many of you that have startups or involved in one activity or the other that I can provide insight to. So the floor is open. I have about 15 more minutes, and I'll take your comments and questions.
Thank you so much for this short but loaded lecture, sir. I was totally engrossed, and I'm telling you, I've added to my knowledge in a few seconds or minutes that we have interacted, sir. Thank you so much. God would continue to enrich you.
Amen. Amen.
Mr. Steven, do you have a question? Okay, welcome, Mr. Adidigba. You're welcome. For the past 30 minutes, my mentor.
I've been here for over.
You've been there. Okay. Yes, my mentor. I'm proud to have a mentor. I don't know about you. I'm proud to have a mentor. So it is because of mentors that we are not tormented, and that we are not losing our focus. So if you ask me, where have I been getting this energy, this vision, this innovativeness to do my things?
Wow.
Because I follow those that know better, those that have.
Yeah, most definitely. It was really a great session. Thanks for. It was really a great session, and I'm grateful, Mr. Niyi, for having us around. And the session that our Oga facilitated is really a great one, so insightful, and I must really commend his efforts.
Made impact, and they have learned from the best as well. So I'm following my mentors.
Wow, that's really, really great, sir. Sir, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yes, sir, I really do appreciate. It was really a very great session. Meanwhile, as much as we have great individuals who are energy driven, who want to do all sorts of things, like you mentioned that there are some innovation hub centers in Lagos and Ilorin. Mr. Niyi is someone I know with great sense of value, impact too. How do you think, are there some things that we need to put in place, at least to be able to bring something of such, at least to Ibadan, sir? Because like you asked the question, that is Ibadan truly ready for what's the economic standard in Ibadan? I must say to you, sir, that following a whole lot of things happening in some cities, especially in Lagos, the rates, I mean, the standard of living for most people in Lagos is pretty high. And I will tell you that migration is on the increase. Like people are leaving, immigrating from other cities to Ibadan. So I'm looking at Ibadan in another 10, 15 years that is it really clear that a city like Ibadan, are they really clear or is the government really prepared for the kind of economic and population explosion that would happen in Ibadan? Because a whole lot of young people I see do some great things. So I'm sure that if we have like innovation hub, like you mentioned, that it will really help us at least to leverage on innovating and bringing new ideas to the country. So I really don't know, sir, if they are advised in that direction that you want to like
that's
us
a valid
to help us.
observation. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
I know Mr. Onawale raises, and give me 1 minute. Let me just comment on this. So first of all, Ibadan is, I think, they keep saying it's the largest city, probably in West Africa. If Ilorin is being supported by their government, they are building an innovation hub in Ilorin right now. And Ilorin doesn't have, well, they have an airport. Ibadan also has an airport. Ibadan should have been what Los Angeles is to San Francisco, which is because of its proximity to Lagos. So, and I'm surprised that there's no innovation hub in Ibadan. That's quite a shame if there's none. And we shouldn't wait for the government.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
We can have the hub even if we don't have a physical location. I'm coming in virtually now. There's nothing that says that we can't have like minds who can come in once a month to keep sharing insight with you guys.
Yes, sir. Ideas.
So I think your ecosystem exists already and we can build on that, but we can't wait for government. When you make progress to an extent, government will take note and then probably come and make all their noise. And you've said something key, my dear brother, because the cost of living in Ibadan is much lower. And because now we're beginning to have remote teams, there's nothing that says that Paystack or CBN or FCMB cannot put their development center in Ibadan. Who doesn't want to be able to buy an Abula every other day? And the traffic is less, there's probably better electricity, the cost of living is way less, the cost of accommodation is probably 40% less. So there are a lot of things in place that can make Ibadan, be positioned properly. And what Ogun State has done. Ogun State has even failed to be able to do that. They've been able to do it for industries, but not for any other sector. Abeokuta doesn't have a heavy presence of services. So Ibadan can be rightfully positioned. And it looks like you guys might be the ones that can make the push among yourselves. And we'll support you, to get it done. But we don't need to wait for the government.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Onawale raised his hand. Please go ahead. What was your comment, sir?
All right. Thank you once again for this power-packed session. I'm sure this kind of session, there are sessions that you have to pay like over 40,000, 50,000 to get out there. So thank you, sir. We are really grateful.
My pleasure.
So my question is, when you were saying things about Netflix and the rest, it really caught my attention because recently I got an idea and I've started developing the idea as regards a streaming platform because I'm a bit interested in the movie line.
Okay.
So, and I realized that, in checking the status, most Nigerians or most Africans, cannot afford the Netflix and the other streaming platform. And I realized that if there's a way we can bring it down to Africans, like the masses in a way, so that they don't have to dub or pirate or watch pirates, and it can also increase the reachability of this product to everyone. Yeah. So, but then I was talking to a developer recently as regards the idea, and he started telling me things that needed to be done, and it's really a big thing and it's going to really cost much. Now, for the question now is that for people with for someone like me with such an idea, and yeah, it will cost money, it will cost me meeting some people or getting some contacts. So, it can be a very difficult thing to do, or it can be really challenging, let me put it that way. So I would want to ask that for someone having such a massive idea, and you are very careful of not just saying it to anyone so that they don't
Yeah.
incorporate it, and you don't,
Yeah.
because you've not patented the idea,
Yep. Yep.
you can easily lose it. So what would you suggest or advise for someone in a state like I am right now that is
Okay.
willing to? Okay, sir, that's the
Well,
question.
so great. I will say a little now and then say more offline. Uh, for what you want to do, so entertainment is big time. I think I just watched Alakada Reloaded yesterday. Yeah. My wife watches, in fact, the Nollywood. She has the one she uses to do dishes. She has the one she uses to relax. Okay. Um, in fact, we are beginning to find many more Nigerian movies on Netflix. I found Alakada on Netflix. I found all of them are there. So what am I saying? There's creativity in producing content, and and then there's a large appetite for content that comes out of Nigeria. Now, Iroko, you know about Iroko, how they began and where they are today. For you, there are three things you want to look at. You've got to figure out a way to start small. And how do you do that? You've got to get content. And then the major issue, which is, and I'm giving this to you straight up, free of charge, everyone can hear. The next major issue is that people have uh, issues with internet, affordability, and reliability. So you've got to figure out among those players, the telcos, probably you look for the smallest one, Intel. And there's something we call toll-free data, where these people can come in your environment and will not need to pay for additional data, but they will be able to only watch your own content for a period of time. And you can pay for the data from the provider and build that into the cost of their subscription. So if you do that, you've solved a major challenge that you are telling them, okay, if you subscribe to XYZ platform, you get X amount of movies, you limit the number of hours, this is the amount you pay, you don't even have to work for the internet. If you pursue that model and do it in a limited environment for a period of time, when you make success with that, then you can now speak to bigger players and say, listen, this is what I've done, this is my viewership, these are my statistics, I want to expand. Can you come in for XYZ? So that's what can solve what you're trying to do. Does that help you?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for because I wasn't aware of this before. Thank you, sir. This will
Okay.
do. Thank you.
Okay, great. Any more comments from anyone else? Questions? We know some people joined lately. Nii, you can see them. Is there any other person you want to introduce? Any other questions or comments? We have about 10 more minutes. Did we lose Nii? Okay. We may
Yeah,
have
yeah,
lost.
yeah. I
Are
think
you?
it's offline.
We lost him for a minute. Okay. All right. Miss Toby Loba Ojo, I saw that you joined recently. Can you please introduce yourself? Oh, we lost. Uh, okay, and Augustine is also there. So do we have Stephen? We spoke. Valentine. Okay. If there are no more comments, we'll just wait to get Nii back on board, and then I can go ahead and do a few other things. So, Mr. Stephen, what are you doing at the moment? What do you do?
Currently, I work with a small firm.
Okay.
Where I just because I graduated with statistics, so I do
Oh,
data
okay.
analysis and all sorts. So I work with a very small firm currently. So that's what I do now, and I'm also a part-time writer. I write poetry and other
Hello.
things. So
Yes, sir. I mean,
So do you have any understanding of R or Python? Do you have any
okay.
understanding of
I mean,
machine
I'm in the
learning?
zone now, sir.
Yes, I do. I do.
Okay,
And
so
although
reach
I'm
out.
still expanding my
Okay,
knowledge
that's the conference.
Okay, reach
on
out to me. I may
Python.
be able to bring you in on one or two things we're doing. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you
Valentine, you
very
wanted
much,
to
sir.
say something? Go ahead. Mr. Valentine, go ahead. I see you raising your hand. Go ahead.
I've already
I
learned.
want to actually, I want to thank you very much, sir, for that
I've learned
wonderful.
it well. I'm all
My
right.
pleasure.
Yeah, since the COVID has been an opportunity, but my question is, how do you, when you have different ideas coming to your mind, how do you prioritize on one?
Okay.
How do you find out to know whether or not, yes, this is the one that is going to work out?
Yeah, yeah. So let me pull up something to show you, okay? That would help answer that question for you, okay? Let me just pull up a slide and I will show you something that I will use to answer your question. Give me 1 minute. When you have a couple of ideas, yep, and you want to see which one you should focus on. So it's like you have a stove burner and you have many things cooking and you want to know which one you should pay more attention to and all of that. So let me see if I can find this slide and share it with you. Okay, it should be, yeah, right, great. And okay, just a minute. I want to answer your question. If there are any more. So there's where would that be?
Hello? Yeah, Alpha. Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? You're off the Zoom stuff. Ṣé time ó lè kó close? Okay, ṣé wọ́n ṣì ń interact pẹ̀lú àwọn tó wà níbẹ̀? Okay, somebody has posted on your behalf. Somebody has done that already. Yeah. Oh, okay, okay. All right, all right.
All right. Okay, so let me pick that question. We have something called the stage gate approach, where you pick your idea and you go through 3 or 4 gates for you to evaluate. So you first of all do what we call initial feasibility. If it passes through that gate, then you move on to the next one, where you do additional investigation, feasibility. If it passes that gate, you move on. So what you do is you have 4 or 5 gates that you keep passing it through. Basically, you do that up till you get to a minimum viable product, solution, or service that you can share, and you do that. So the key thing from there is that you should not be scared and have emotional attachment and say, because this is my idea, you won't let it go. No. Once you go through the metrics and you see that it did not work, you should stop it and not go further. You should stop it and not go further. I'm trying to see, I have a set of slides that that has this that I may be able to show you, but I don't have it immediately now because, but I can get that to you later. It's called the stage gate approach. And that one you can use to filter out if an idea is worth additional investment, time, and effort. I'll make sure I get it to Mr. Kolade to share it with you. Okay? All right. Any other questions and comments? Okay. All right. If that's the case, then we will wrap up. I believe you guys are trying to go to the physical event.
Yes,
so thank you so much for having me today. I'll make sure that the recording and the slides are made available to Mr. Kolade. Okay?
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Please enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.